Welcome to the Ferment Podcast. My name's Mike O'Brien, the director of Vineyard School of Worship, and I am your guest host for the Ferment. This edition of the Ferment is called A Week in the Life Worship Leader Edition, and I am so happy to welcome Nicole Hernandez.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Nicole, you are serving what church?
I am at one of the campuses for Vineyard Columbus. It is Viña Grandview. So we have two Viña campuses, and this is the most recent one. We've been now a year and a half.
Oh, amazing. Okay. So that's how many miles from the mothership church is that?
It's 17 minutes driving.
Okay.
So
very cool. And Vineyard Columbus, that's maybe the largest vineyard in the world, maybe. I don't know if there's other churches, but it's several thousand people that go to the main campus. And then how many total campuses are there? You're one of how many?
I believe it's 6, if my count is right. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So yours is Spanish only, like everything's in Spanish, preaching, teaching, worship for the most part?
For the most part, yeah, I would say we lean a little more bilingually, maybe. We try to offer English live translation when we can. If we don't have anyone to live translate, we will encourage people in other ways. You know, Daniel will have the sermon printed out in English, and we just know that there's a lot of second generation. So, and couples who are maybe someone speaks all Spanish and the other doesn't. So
amazing.
Worship's bilingual, kids ministry bilingual.
So Daniel, your husband's the pastor.
Correct.
He's the boss, and you're the worship pastor, and you're 50 hours a week. You're paid for 50 hours a week.
How did you guess? No. So my role as worship coordinator, I am 10 hours.
10 hours.
10 hours.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Can we get a hand up for all the 10-hour people out there that actually do 20? We see you. We see you. Awesome. So that's so cool. That's a great church. I've heard so many good things about, obviously, Columbus Vineyard, but the many campuses. So the idea behind this podcast is we want to meet with a few worship leaders in the Vineyard at just different kinds of churches, different sizes, just to say, what does a week in the life look like for you as a worship leader? You're probably carrying worship pastor titles. You're more than just singing the song, right? You're doing all the stuff. So we want to get an idea of what that looks like in reality, right? And then maybe we explore a little bit what the idealized future looks like.
Yeah.
More resources, more people, things that we would like to grow into. And then just the dreams, those dreams, and then the challenges that come with the role that you are in, which is so important. So remind us, I know you've already been on the Ferment, but just give us an update where you come from, your faith journey, how it got you to where you're at now.
Yeah, I grew up in the church. I have been part of the Vineyard movement since I was a kid. So I was 6. Yeah. And, along the way, different people speaking into my life. And you accept Jesus at a certain age. I was very young. And then different experiences, youth camps, and then I was in high school when I had been involved in different things in music for school and that sort of thing. And I think people knew that I wanted to join the youth worship team at the time, and I just wanted to sing BGVs. I loved harmonies, choir, all that stuff. And just the worship pastor prayed over me and just really, spoke into my life about leading worship at 14.
Wow.
Yeah.
What city were you in there?
Pomona.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
born
so
and raised.
California.
Well, born in Glendora, but pretty much born and raised in Pomona. So.
Wow, okay. That's awesome. And your husband's the pastor, and you got kiddos?
Yes, I do. Yes, we do. We have 2. They are 15 and a half and 14.
Okay. So I ask you about your family because we all know that our family and if we have kids and how many kids we have and what age they are matters in our rhythm for worship leaders. It absolutely matters. That 10 hours a week, that matters. So as we're comparing and contrasting, this person or this person, we have to know, that we're not comparing apples to apples. This is completely different. So your kids are out of that. They're not with the headphones on with the iPad during 7 a.m. rehearsal anymore.
Right. They're not, where are the snacks, and let's make sure we've got the bag with the toys. And, we're not in that boat anymore. You're right. Yeah.
But you had those days, right?
We did. Yeah, absolutely. It's someone's sick, and, who needs to be there more at this moment? Who can we replace, the quickest kind of thing?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
One of my favorite pictures is my friend Jessica Geelan from Holly Springs Vineyard near Raleigh. One of my favorite memories is her with her baby in a sling.
Yeah.
And I think she was playing guitar and the sling was on her back. I don't know. It was a bold move and the baby was rocking. And I'm just like, man, worship leader moms are the best ever.
Yes. 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 Man.
That's awesome. Okay. This is big picture. What's your favorite part of your week? What's like the best part of being a worship leader at the church at Grandview for your week? What's your favorite part?
Other than actually being with the team for rehearsal and then, having what we've then rehearsed come together and sort of that moment that we get to share where you're bringing what was, again, like what you've been working through, the technical side, and you're connecting now all the pieces together in the actual service, which is just, it's incredible. Even when there are mistakes, which is every week,
Sure.
It's that beautiful space where you get to say like, hey, we've prepared all of this and now we get to enjoy it with you and praise God together. And so that just that's always great. And then I would say my other favorite part is where I get to meet with our worship staff. It's just great. It's like my favorite thing to do during the week because it's just a great group. We have a great staff and it's just fun to hang out. And even when we have to talk through like really difficult topics or, we're reworking things or it's a scheduling meeting, it's just a great time. So
when you say worship staff, what do you mean? You mean the church staff? Maybe?
Yeah. Well, so because we're several campuses, we have 3 worship pastors who oversee the coordinators for the campuses.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it's a whole, just kind of set up.
So you've got kind of the micromanagement of your one campus, but once a week you get to hang with with all the worship bosses of all the campuses, give or take.
Yeah.
Wow. That is so cool. That's a great, when people say, what's the bonuses or minuses of a multi-campus? Like, that's a really sweet bonus.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
That's great.
You share resources, you share people, songs, ideas.
Yeah, well, we go over our songs and if we're introducing songs and especially for scheduling and because we're campus model where there are some people who serve at multiple, sites. And so we're talking that through, we're praying for each other. We're just moving through life.
Man, so. I'm jealous. I'm jealous. That's a great idea. Okay, your least favorite part of your job, of your 10-hour grind. What do you just despise? What's the one thing you just would love to give away?
I had to think about this one. I think there are some things that I like about the way that we set up on the administrative side. And then there are things that I don't really like about it. But just because we're sitting in a bilingual space, I've got to be very meticulous about accents and where does the chord go?
Wow.
And am I doing, the Spanish-English thing, line for line, or is it a whole chart side by side? So that takes a little more time than I wish that it would. But once it's done, it's so great. And I think the other part that is not my favorite is, we are there for so many hours. Yeah. We run rehearsal the same day. It's not an extra day in the week. And because of that, it makes for a longer day for those who are showing up. And then me specifically, I'm usually like the first one there and the last one to leave. Wow. And so I do wish that I had a little more time to engage with people in our community and just to get to know, those who are attending our church and really, really locking in. And we have a Saturday service too, so it makes it a little difficult. Yeah, it makes it a little difficult to say like, hey, it's 7:30, let's go do something. And everyone's kind of already out the door. Wow. So I with those things, those are probably
I didn't realize
the
you had Saturday, Sunday. So Saturday, what time?
We start at 6. Yeah.
6 p.m. service Saturday.
Sunday is actually what we usually take as our Sabbath.
Oh, so you don't have a service on Sunday.
Right.
So it's a Saturday service. Awesome. Super helpful. That's interesting because an evening service is another world. Okay, so here's the week in the life. It's Sunday morning. You open your eyes. church is already over. Here's your week. How does this go? Do you start planning on Sunday, or do you wait till Monday? Like, how's the planning go for that next service?
Yeah. Well, so the way that we really, really, really try, and I would say that this has been a good thing that we have brought on in our life rhythms of, wanting to include Sabbath to be part of what is part of our family rhythms. So we try to take that whole day to rest. The kids have a youth group, that they're a part of Sunday evening, and then really just to relax and maybe just read a little bit or nap or whatever it is. And then not really until Monday. I would say Sunday, Monday is really my weekend. And so that Monday is kind of like a catch up.
Okay.
Just all the little things, the different projects, grocery shopping, that sort of thing. So I would say my week, really planning forward, would be like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, really feels in that
great.
space.
Now, Monday morning, somebody on your team texts you and says, hey, we need to do this song. This is awesome. What do you think of this song, Nicole? So Monday morning, are you just going to kind of ghost that person till Tuesday, or are you going to hit them back right then and then start researching? Or...
that's funny. I think, one, maybe it might depend on the question, but usually I try, unless it's like this crazy emergency, I try to hold off. And I do let people know, hey, if I don't respond to you, this is why, right?
Cool.
Like we rest on Sundays. Like you'll get a message from me, in my workspace. And,
that's great.
And because of 10 hours, I am, maybe sitting in that of like, hey, these are the hours that I'm really trying to lean into for work, and I'm working on doing that a little bit better. But usually trying to hold off.
Till Tuesday. Tuesday's the magic day where you begin to think of Saturday evening. Okay, so what happens on Tuesday?
Yeah, so because of just so doing this job and then another part-time job, and we were a homeschool family before, up until the summer, actually. So just all the different types of things. It can feel pretty flexible. Maybe I should say Wednesday forward feels a little bit more, because that's when our worship staff meets.
Okay.
We meet every Wednesday at 9. And so that really helps me to, okay, these are all the little things. These were the people who were texting me, emailing me, whatever it is. And, let me now take this space and reply to people. And so with thinking forward to Saturday, the way that we plan is, if it's Wednesday, it's not for that Saturday that I'm planning my set. I've already planned it. Okay. So we plan 3 Fridays forward. Cool. So that means, if it's this coming up Saturday, I had my set ready 3 Fridays before this, which is great because it relieves stress from me, as I only have 10 hours. I don't have that stress of like, no, if I don't get this out by Monday, right? Yep. People are going to be scrambling. We're volunteer based. Like, there's no way people are going to have enough time. So I just love that we have that set up for all of Vineyard Columbus. Wow. We get our sets out 3 Fridays before. Okay. And that gives our volunteers 2 weeks to be able to go through and
they
study
the set. They spend weeks and hours working on those parts. I know it.
Every time.
One guy does, the 53-year-old guitar player guy. He's practicing all of it, yes. But it doesn't matter if they're actually preparing, but you've prepared, and the anxiety, like, the stress is not there for that coming Sunday.
Correct.
It's done, which is a really brilliant way of planning. It's one way to plan it.
And I used to do it the other way. Before, we've only been in Columbus for 4 years. Sure. And I know the weekly stress. You've got that. You're like, oh my goodness, it's Wednesday and I told them Tuesday. And it's just, it has relieved that anxiety. Yes.
That's cool. Mm-hmm. So that Wednesday, you sit with the team, you plan for the 3 or 4 weeks later, get all those songs, and then whatever. Are you planning center person?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Planning
so
center.
You have your own planning center world. How much autonomy do you have to make your campus's planning center work for you? Is it just kind of set up for you?
Do you mean like our template, kind of like the layout of what we're doing? Yeah.
Language and
yeah.
Use, yeah.
Well, I would say there's a general, sort of layout, and then there are certain things that can be adjusted per campus, but nothing too crazy. We're not, changing the complete order of the service.
And what Daniel's preaching way far in advance as well? Does the preacher, do they have to plan that far in advance as well? Or you're just...
So the theme is something that I know in advance. There is a theme, there's a schedule for preaching. Maybe the specific way of like, where are we landing ministry wise? That's the week of. So I'm waiting for that throughout the week, and that's just the ministry song at the end. So again, I'd say like a low stress point, right?
Okay. Okay, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you're planning for that Sunday. How about the people side of things? Like there's the music and the song side of things is planned way in advance. The people, you try to plan more in advance, but that stuff changes, right?
Can change, yeah. And also thinking there might be a few ways that in Hispanic culture people would say like, you can't plan that far ahead, and we've kind of we've now been a year and a half as a campus, and I can say it's worked out a whole lot better than I thought that it might have, and it's really just like, and we understand there are some people who come up to me and they're like, we really just don't think that far ahead, so we do our scheduling 2 months in advance, right? Wow. So we just planned for September, and so when we go back and meet together in August, we'll plan for October, and it is a lot to think forward to. So we ask people to give blockout dates, which helps me to not go running after people to check for availability. And if there are adjustments, and this is what we try to communicate when we're bringing people into the team, and if there's any adjustment, just let us know. Let us know if you can find your own replacement. That's even better. Ideal, of course, but
and your campus is how many beating hearts are on that Saturday night service?
Do you mean the campus?
Yeah, like your campus is how many humans are in that?
About 70. That's
okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting because you're using a large church model for a small church, and you're telling me it's working and you're growing into it and you're fine with it.
Yes.
But the bass player that needs to plan out, he's having a hard time. Like, what? I got to tell you in 2 months where I'm going to be. I don't know where I'm going to be tonight.
I'm the only bass player. Why do I need to tell you? And it's like, well, this is, we're, like you said, we're growing into these spaces. These are good things to bring on, and it allows for us to also have those other people who are available. Say, we don't have anyone on the team who's volunteer. Cool. Serve more than 3 times a month. You should rest. And we also take breaks. There are certain spaces, however many weeks, and then I also take a break. And so we're not just saying it, we're trying to also live it out, right?
So you get paid to lead worship for the church, but you take a break?
I do take a break.
And somebody who doesn't get paid is in charge of a week?
That is usually the plan, yes.
Awesome. And that's okay.
Yeah, that is okay. And you know what? And sometimes you bring in a contracted person, and that's okay too.
Sure.
Yeah. And so, so we have the whole, please give us your blockout dates 3 months in advance. And, and like I said, I think it's just, kind of moving in those ways helps us to then, if there are other people who are available from other, campuses, they can come through because we're moving in the same schedule.
So how about any evaluations? Saturday happens. By the time Wednesday comes around, Saturday is gone. So is there probably not much of an evaluation by Wednesday, right? Is that the way it is?
Well, so I'm curious, what do you mean by like what
when
kinds
do you
of ways
say Saturday was awesome, Saturday was terrible, that was a great song, that was a terrible song, I can't believe that sound guy messed it up? Like, do you have those conversations? Maybe it's different in Latino culture, like that you're not breaking it down like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
well, I would say, again, maybe this is why my Saturdays feel so long. It's almost like all the conversations kind of happen in that space. If they're really, again, if they are more urgent. And I do try to get in certain little notes. I'll write a note to myself. If it's an email, that's something.
Good.
Then I can, if it's something I can wait for. Then it waits till Wednesday. If it's something that is urgent, we're not there this next week. And so 2 of the production guys were like, hey, notice this with the schedule. Can we work this out right now? It took me 10 minutes. Sometimes that works. And then other times I need to just let it pause.
Okay.
And then wait.
That's
always
great.
it's not easy usually, but it helps.
That's cool. So how about other things during the week? Do you go to a small group? Do you have any other standing meetings other than that Wednesday meeting with all the other worship leaders? Are you meeting with Daniel to talk about church? Like any other standing meetings or small groups or things throughout the week?
Yeah. So I have a one-on-one with the main worship pastor.
Cool.
And then we do have a staff meeting that is every other week. Not always able to make it to that, Sometimes I can, which is great when I can. And then Daniel and I, when you're married, man,
Sure.
this is the real side of the conversation because sometimes it's like we need to make sure that this doesn't just run into life.
Yeah.
It can't be at the dinner table. Let's make sure that it is in our work hours and try and block out a window of time if we need to go over things, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So we've been better at that. We were still learning there.
That's cool.
And then with small groups, because of the way that our campus has been, growing, we just finished Alpha Us. So I'm sort of jumping into different small group spaces. It's a growing campus, very new. And so just building community. I wouldn't say I've been a part of a small group for the last 10 years. So I'm, that would be the dream, to be a part of something that, is this life-giving space that I can do that. So we it'll be kind of an 8-week thing. Maybe we take 2 or 3 weeks off and then,
that's cool.
Do another small group thing.
That's amazing. And you're overseeing a Vineyard Worship Essentials cohort. So you're training Spanish-speaking worship leaders in the Vineyard from around the world. Yeah. And that's kind of your small group as well.
Yes.
That's amazing. Yeah. Okay, so one-on-ones with Bob, Becky, Billy. How much can, at 10 hours a week, you probably can't do too many, but are you doing those sporadically with your team, with your musicians, techs and things like that? Are you trying to get one-on-ones with them?
Yeah. Again, because we're campus model, right? Yep. And the team overall for Vineyard Columbus is much larger, right?
Sure.
As you can imagine. And so there has been a kind of like, hey, can we also help in those places, where we have 2 viñas, and maybe as the other person also has limited hours, can we make this workable, right?
Okay.
And so I check in with the members that we have, the 2 volunteers that we have who are consistent right now. I check in with them when I see them and that kind of thing, and that's great. It's always great when you can just, hey, how's it going?
Sure.
I was praying for you for this. Yep. And then a little more intentional, just do a one-on-one meeting. I would say with what I've been able to do this last year, it's about two times a year with each person, but it's like an hour, right? Yep. Where you get to sit down and talk through like, how's rehearsal going? How's this feeling? Are you in a small group? All that. So
that's cool. That's cool. And then the tech, the pro presenter, the slides, the words, the extra lines on the Spanish word that you have to put, like all the things, all the tech stuff. When does that stuff go down? When do you set up the stage? When do you put the batteries into the lavalier microphone? Like, when does all these things happen?
Some of that is a mystery to me because I have decided not to wear too many hats in those spaces. And that's just the truth. I feel like I would bounce back and forth before, coming on staff or even before being part of Vineyard Columbus. And it's okay that I don't know the answers to all of these things. I think it's great. I should know how to do certain things, but I also don't want to know where everything is.
Amazing.
In our campus, just what we're doing week to week. But I can say the way I understand, at least for production side, someone's coming through, they're coming about the same time that I am, setting up. Pro presenter comes in a little bit later, and then I'll usually take maybe 10 minutes just before, right after we're done doing a run through. And ideally this is before we pray everybody who's there and volunteer and, pastoral staff and that sort of thing, 30 minutes before the service.
Cool.
So just checking through slides as we're running. We do a full run through. So the way that our rehearsals go it's about an hour 15. And we do 3 songs for about 3 songs. I should say it's not always that. And so that does help, for us to be able to have an effective rehearsal.
Can I stop you? If you were to choose a new song for a week, you throw that new song into Planning Center and the lyrics are there. You just make sure the lyrics are right. And then there's a system to where somebody's in charge of your campus, somebody's in charge of putting that song into Pro Presenter. You
Oh, yeah.
right? There's
Yes.
some okay, and but that's another paid position or another. That's not under your world. That's a different world.
Right. You're saying from Planning Center to Pro Presenter.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, that is actually a volunteer
Okay.
position. Yeah.
Cool.
So that's our volunteers are signing up. They're awesome. Our production people, they're just so great.
Amazing.
I mean, I'm so thankful for them. I really appreciate more and more as, just being involved with worship. It's just I'm so happy for the team that we have.
Cool.
I really am, and of course our the guys that we have on for our worship team too. But I really appreciate our production people. But yeah, so they're showing up.
So people show up Saturday, 3:00, 4:00. What's the call? What's the time? Call time.
Call time for the team, the worship team is 3:30. I'm there. Ideally at 3, and then same thing for the audio about 3:15.
Cool.
Pro Presenter maybe 4. A little bit before 4. Yep.
And it tracks and clicks?
Tracks and clicks.
Okay. Are the prompts in Spanish or English?
It depends. It depends on who I have on the team. Hey, it's an easy click. It's a button. I don't know if you know that. At least for what we use Prime. And so all I have to do, if I see that everyone's a little lost, I'll just switch over to Spanish.
Okay, so in my Anglo mind, it's intro 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know what? I'm not. I don't remember at this moment. I don't remember what that. No, I mean verso. Verso would be verse.
2, 3,
Dos,
4.
tres, cuatro. Yeah.
Oh yeah, hilarious.
Yeah,
what
yeah.
the whole world? Okay.
Coro. Yeah.
What's trash can in?
Basura.
What is it?
Trash can. Basura.
Trash can ending. Sometimes I hear that in the
I've
track.
never heard that.
Trash can or trash out. Sometimes you hear that.
I've never heard that. No, I don't know if we have that. I've never heard it.
Amazing.
That would be really funny.
That's awesome. Okay. So slides, tech, all that stuff's kind of subbed out. That's really cool. I love that. And then do you have a ritual like for Saturday? Like what's your personal ritual? For if you had church on Sunday, I'd ask you what that morning ritual was. But with Saturday, that's interesting. Like when do you switch on and go, okay, I'm a church person? Like do you have like a time where or is Saturday just gone for you?
So Saturdays, I think it's helpful when we're not planning too many things that morning. I like to take a little bit of space to just sit alone. It's 2 teens and we've got a full house, and you can just feel full of activities. So I do like to have that space, whether that's a walk or I'm sitting in my hammock in the backyard or something, and just have a little time alone, even if it's really brief, and take a minute to pray and, lectio or something. And sometimes I'll go through a little bit of a run through. Sometimes I might be just checking a thing or two. Daniel and I, my husband, have been a little more into pickleball, a sport we're finding is a lot of fun.
Amazing.
So sometimes we'll, it's summer, right? It's good weather. So it just feels good to move your body, especially like that day of, and just take a minute an hour in the morning and get up, work out, and play a little. Amazing. and then go home, make breakfast. Like I said, maybe take an hour or so to work on something. Depends on what's going on in the house or the activity with our 2 kids. And then I would say at about early afternoon, it's like, okay, time to get ready and moving on, get in the car, get on my step, get over to the church, and we're going, sometimes we go together, sometimes we go separate. It just depends. So
and then you're getting into your door Saturday night at
also depends.
Really? Okay.
Well, so sometimes we have different activities at night, but usually between 8:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Wow, that's neat being able to sleep after church when you're supposed to be sleeping. That's very novel.
Yeah, I will say again with that whole like that piece we we're seeing what that possibility might look like for us as a Saturday church, service. And so even if we were to have the idea of moving it maybe in the future to a slightly early hour, it would allow for maybe some more community space. Get home, have people over, have some food, a little bit more of a space.
That's cool.
After that would be great. But yeah, so that's usually about the time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Any other things you want to tell us about your week that would be interesting? I think we covered everything, but I'm just curious if there's anything I missed about your rhythms that are important or unique.
I think I'm really finding out at this point in my life that it's been really, like, I mean, we just said it, but I am a whole person, right? I need as much as I do to spend time with God and to get good sleep and good food, to also have like good activity, like let me move my body a little bit, let me work out a little bit. It's been really, really good.
That's great.
And of course, like a good connector point in our marriage, and so just I'm really enjoying that in our rhythms that we have right now too. So
that's cool that you guys can do ministry together. So, some features that I just think from your story are really great is the fact that you're a small church, but you're connected to a much larger church. You have a family of churches that are supporting each other in some really sweet ways. It seems like of all the nightmare stories we hear about that you're living in a space that's very helpful and kind to you as somebody at 10 hours. You've got people that are at 40 hours that can support you. And it's not like selfish, like every church for themselves. So I love that. That is so helpful. I love the Saturday night thing. That's so unique and interesting. Those rhythms are completely different. And I love that you can have Sunday for a Sabbath. That's really neat. And I'm so thankful that you shared your story and just gave us a glimpse into your life. Thanks for opening up. And if anybody's interested in Vineyard Worship Essentials cohort, we have all that material in Spanish now. And you're going through you and Daniel are leading the first cohort for Spanish for Vineyard Worship Essentials. How's that going? Is it?
It's great. It's really great. And I think we talked a lot about this, right? Would it work out if we subtitled things? Would this, would this really communicate? And it's been great. Okay. It's been really good.
So it's making sense.
Got a good group.
That's so good. So good. So we'll probably have the next Spanish Vineyard Worship Essentials happen in the winter. We're going to take a break in the fall, but it'll be back in the winter. And we're so thankful for you and Daniel leading that and being a part. And just being a part of Vineyard and like doing all the translation work. Like you guys are removing obstacles to Jesus and the kingdom, and we're just so thankful for you. Sweet. All right, friends. Well, thanks for joining the Ferment. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Hey everyone, Casey Corum here, producer of the podcast. Thanks for listening. As always, if you've been enjoying the podcast, here's a few ways you can help us. First of all, leave us a review on the podcast platform of your choice. This helps more people find us. Also, connect with us on social media. Instagram at The Ferment Podcast and Twitter at FermentCast. All right, everyone, thanks for listening. See you next week. Peace.